StormWatch number 15, written by Peter Milligan, art by Will Conrad and Cliff Richards. Last issue, we had Harry showing back up, now posing as a Shadow Lord, and Midnighter says that he doesn't want to go with Apollo away from Stormwatch. So we open up and Harry's basically laying out his thing as the Shadow Lord. He's like, here's the deal. Stormwatch has always kind of been like a preventative measure, like we jump in when trouble arises. Changing that up now, we're going to go after preemptively the superheroes, because these superheroes are the biggest threats to mankind like ever. And he just loads up pictures of Superman, Green Lantern, and Batman. And it's like, these three are kind of like the pillars. If you take them down, everyone else will tumble. And immediately Stormwatch is like, you want us to fight Superman? And he's like, Apollo, you're like already kind of a Superman patsy, so yeah, we think you can take him. Batman, as far as we can tell, is just a guy, and Green Lantern, you guys can handle. No problem. And the entire time, Midnighter's watching the Shadow Lord, like, I recognize this, but I can't, like, the little moments, the little movements that he has, like, I can place it, but I can't. And at that point, Jack Hawksmoor gets a call from the ship, and the ship recognizes that Emma Rice, the projectionist, the one who was taken by Harry, is still alive, and she's currently marching through Antarctica. And she's like, come on, ship, recognize me, open a door. And a teleporter door shows up, and she walks through. And immediately she's like, hi, guys, can I have a drink? And before anything else, Engineer just walks up and grabs her. And just like, you ran off with Harry, and you've been with him. We need to know what you know. And she's like, he kidnapped, you were there. And everyone else was like, yeah, we were there. He definitely kidnapped her. This is not him. It's like, yeah, but things can change. And so she takes one of her tendrils or whatever, plugs it into her head, and just says, like, let's see what really happened. And Emma claims Harry died. Harry died in the explosion. And so she loads up the memories in her brain, and we see the explosion and the body of Harry afterwards. And they're like, okay, rewind it a little bit. Let's just, make sure that's what actually happened. And then a blurry image starts coming through, and Midnighter's like, I know this guy. How do I know this guy? And we see that the blurry image on screen is a memory of Harry shaking hands with Midnighter and saying how Midnighter is going to betray the group and is actually only in a relationship with Apollo so that he won't literally go all out and kill Midnighter once the reveal happens. And immediately Apollo's like, oh, I'm sorry, what? And Midnighter's like, this is definitely an implanted memory, totally fake. I recognize the guy now. The Shadow Lord is Harry. And the Shadow Lord's like, seriously, that's the best you got? Okay, everyone kill Midnighter, he's a traitor. So immediately Apollo goes after him, starts laying down shots. And Midnighter's like, you can't hit me, man. I can predict your every oof. Gets hit in the back. And Apollo is still going all in. Shadow Lord's like, hey, Jack Hawksmoor, Jenny Quantum, go get Midnighter. And it's like, nah, I'm pretty sure Apollo's got this. So Apollo goes in, and he's like super angry. And Midnighter's like, you don't understand. This isn't it. I'm not going to fight you. And then just by reflex, he punches Apollo in the face. And he's like, okay, I got some instinctual stuff I'm working through, but I don't want to fight you. And Engineer grabs Midnighter, says like, oh, you poisoned Harry's mind. It's your fault, Midnighter. You're a psychopath. And he's like, yes, I am. But I didn't do that thing you said I did. And he rips off one of Engineer's tendrils and grabs Emma and goes through the teleporter door back to the Antarctic. And Engineer and the Shadow Lord both also go through. But because of the Earth's rotation, I guess, they end up in a totally different location. Which doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever, it happened. So Midnighter and Emma are making their way through the snow, and she's just like, why did you grab me? You could have grabbed anybody. Why me? And he's like, because you know what actually happened, and we're going to jog your memories and get that what actually happened out. And she's like, I know what actually happened. You made a deal with them. I saw it. And he's like, no, that's a fake memory, and you just don't remember the real stuff. I'm not capable of doing this to Stormwatch. At least I don't feel like I am. So at that point, we see a mysterious figure coming up to them, and it's like, oh, who's that? Get ready to fight. But it turns out it's just like a scientist who's at a nearby science station. And it's just like, hey, you guys are going to die in like 2 minutes due to exposure if you don't get with me. So let's get going. So Apollo flies up to the sun, and he's like, I can't believe he betrayed me. He sucks. He's awful. And as he's getting closer to the sun, Jenny Quantum's just sitting in the way. And he's like, hey, how's it going? Engineer sent me to go find you. Please don't burn yourself up in the sun. And he's like, I'm not going to burn myself up in the sun. I get supercharged by being close to the sun. I'm going to get super powered up, and I'm going to go down and attack that two-timing bastard. So then, after they leave the science station, Emma and Midnight are making their way through the Antarctic mountains. I don't even know if those are real, but regardless, they are. And he's like, all right, do you recognize any of these mountains as the base where Harry kept you? She's like, no, I don't recognize one snow-covered mountain from another. And he's like, all right, well, I don't like being out here in this place any more than you do, but we got to do this, so think. And then we go back to the science station and see the scientists talking to Harry, the Shadow Lord, and they're just like, yeah, no, they left about an hour ago. They went out somewhere, and they've said something about Harry Tanner and getting the truth about him. Anyway, hope that helps. And he's like, yes, you've done magnificently. So then Harry calls in the entirety of the team, everyone who's left, except for Jack, who doesn't want to go to the Antarctic because it's not a city. And he's like, hey guys, you should check out the science station. Seems that Midnighter showed up here and killed literally everybody inside. He's a rogue agent, and we need to take him out. And Apollo's like, oh no. So, yeah, that's that. I don't have a problem following any of the individual plot beats. I think that it was a perfectly reasonable jump from emotion to emotion. Like, okay, here's how this happened, here's how that happened. My only major, I don't even want to say criticism, but my only major thing that I wish was different is that the entire Emma thing, like, Harry is now acting as a totally different character. He's the Shadow Lord now. All we need to know is he betrayed the team. That's fine. But Emma, we spent such a short time with, and we have such a limited understanding as to what she can do and who she even is right now, because clearly she was faking that she was in love with Harry, but she also truly thinks that maybe Harry and Midnight are teamed up. It's very vague, and if they're building it up to be a mystery as to, like, what actually happened, then so be it, but I don't feel like it's a mystery for the reader. For the reader, we know Midnighter didn't do this. We know Harry messed with things. I just want to know a bit more as to where Emma's standing. Hopefully that'll get cleared up soon. That's my own little personal thing on that. But overall, the story itself seems like a fine setup. This pretty much is just the part one, comparatively to how the previous issues were. So this is starting up the arc, and I enjoy it. I think it's a fine enough arc. I'll give it like feels like a 7. It feels pretty average. Not great, not awful. Just nice, kind of in the middle, but still slightly positive 7.